Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. I hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the table from me, Faraz. Welcome.
Thank you, Eric. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you in here. I'm excited for this one. We've known each other for a couple of years. And why don't you give our listeners a quick rundown? What the heck you do, who you're working with, how long you've been doing it?
Totally, yeah. I'm an entrepreneur. We have an e-commerce business, I do, and I sell hair wellness products mainly targeted to women. And this came about as a challenge that I've had my whole life. Since I was 21, I've been losing my hair, and I said, gosh, there's got to be a way. And of course, there is a way with pharmaceuticals, and I got on those for 10 years. I took finasteride, which is like one of the big guns. And then I decided that to get into longevity after I lived in LA for a while, I'm like, I don't really love what I'm doing as a career. What are other opportunities for me to maybe think about that are more futuristic, but not too far off? And so I wrote on my whiteboard like 7 or 8 opportunities that are big, like we're talking like industries like robotics and 3D sensors and AI and all the things, 3D printing that are coming out, and longevity was one of them. And I said, you know what, that I'm super excited by, because let's face it, I want to be young for a long time. Mm-hmm. A little bit of it's vain, but I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
We all want to be young, and losing your youth is very challenging for a lot of people. I don't care about how long I live. I just want to be youthful, right?
Okay.
And so I did some of the research, and I saw what's coming down, and I said, okay, longevity is my jam. Got into it, started a podcast, started interviewing some of the really cool people, some of the leaders in this field. And the more I dug into it, the more I was convinced that this is it. And then in the path of doing that, I'm like, man, I'm not making any money. I got to find a way to fund this, right? And so I said, what are the challenges that I've had for a long time as it relates to longevity? And the first one that kept coming up was hair.
Yeah.
What can you do? Is there even a way? Because there's a lot of companies that are selling stuff. Is there a way to differentiate yourself, to make products that are unique and that work on many angles? And so I went on to conferences internationally. I flew to Thailand to go to this international conference for hair transplant surgeons and stem cell experts. And anyway, so I learned enough there that I said, okay, there is a way, but the key with the hair is that you've got to do a lot of things at the same time. If you're taking one pill, natural pill, and you think it's going to fix your problems, no way.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. And so that's what we compiled is 4 things together in a whole program that targets multiple pathways individually, but also collectively. It's super cool. And so that's what started it off. And I was brand new to e-com, didn't know what I was doing, made 100 mistakes probably that I could have avoided. But here we are, and we are growing. And yeah, we can talk about what that means, but we sell basically hair wellness products to women, 40 plus on one product line. The other product line that we just launched recently was around delaying gray hairs. And so that's the other challenge that comes with hair. As you age, is your hair start to go gray, and so does your beard. And so I enlisted my friend, Dr. Sandra Kaufman, who's a dear friend. She's written 2 books on longevity. And so we partnered, and she basically designed the protocol for going after a lot of pathways to delay and reverse some gray hair. So now we've got 2 different lines of products that we sell. And the gray hairs is targeted to both men and women. Mm-hmm. But we're leading for the most part on Facebook and other channels. The hero product is our hair wellness or hair growth or hair density serum.
So with all that being said, what's the name of your company?
It's called Fully Vital. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, that's the most important part.
Dude, that took months to figure out the name, because you got to find a name that's not trademarked.
Yeah.
And you got to find a domain name that's available. And so it just takes, and then you got to buy it. If it's somebody else owns it, you got to pay them money.
Yeah.
So
did you have to do that? Did you buy it from someone or?
I bought it from a website, from an aggregator website.
Okay.
There's these websites that have different prices. You can just literally click and buy.
Okay.
I didn't
so
have
you
to
didn't
go
have to
through.
negotiate or anything. How much were they selling it for, if you don't
I
mind?
think I bought it for $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty reasonable,
Yeah.
relatively speaking.
And literally after 3 months of painstaking research and like every name I liked was taken or trademarked. And so I said, this is one that's available. I'm going to jump on it with both feet.
Yeah.
So it took 2 days and it was done.
One of my former guests, Noah Kagan, spent $1 million on a domain before.
Wow.
So,
What did he sell it for?
well, he uses it for his business. So
It's good to have that cash laying around.
yeah. I think he had to work out some kind of deal to make sure he didn't spend it all at once. But so you're fully vital. You've been doing it for about 2 years now.
Yeah. Just a little over 2 years. Yeah.
You're a solopreneur. It's just you and your partner, or your, I guess your consultants that you work with, or different outsourced teams. Are you doing your 3PL in-house, or are you working with a 3PL?
We work with ShipBob.
Okay.
And I know it's a little bit pricey.
Yeah.
But at this point in where we are with the company, where I am, I really couldn't be bothered to save a little bit of money on 3PL because it's going to take so much effort to move from one to the other. I'd rather spend all that time and energy on marketing channels and getting things to scale profitably. And then at the end of the year, my goal is to come back around and say, okay, what can we do here?
Yeah. And you've got, there's a lot of things that I like about this business. You do have a major player in the space that's printing money. Yeah. So there is like proof of success. They're the supplement range where you're pharmaceutical range, right? So you're using minoxidil. And,
no, it's all natural.
Oh, yours is the supplement style as well.
Totally.
Okay. And then I assume it's like a big driver for you is going to be trying to get people on subscription.
Yes.
In daily habits. Do you find that a fair number of your customers are going on subscription?
Yeah, totally. We've worked on the subscription offer a bit last year and this year, and to make it enticing and to also educate the customer that it takes time. And so all of our messaging goes, we're talking about 90 days as the point where you start to see results, just because of the hair cycle. It's not some trick that we're playing. It's just how it works. And so with education, we've seen subscriptions go up. They've gone up in the last 6 months that I've started putting some effort into it. They've gone up about 40% in the last 6 months, which I'm super excited about. But of course, there's more work to be done.
Yeah.
And so the goal there is to get a lot of people interested in the product, and then 20%, over 20% are taking the subscription option.
Yeah.
So that's good. Also, like you said, we are in a very proven field. Like generally, there's product market fit for a hair serum and for a hair supplement. Individually, we're trying to, we went through some iterations of what the hero product should be. So in the first, we said we're truly differentiated. We're going to sell the whole system, right? And so that was the offer. That was a landing page, and it took us all the mistakes, right? I'd spent too much money, took too much time to create the landing page. Ads weren't good because I wasn't that involved. I was paying an agency $5,000 a month to make ads for me, and they were bombing. And I'm 15 grand in. I'm going, what is going on here? Like, we can't go at this pace. It's such negative growth rate, right? And at the end, I ended up hiring and firing multiple agencies. And I know I'm going off the tangent a little bit, but I'll come back to subscriptions. And so that was one of the pains we had, is trying to figure out what the offer should be. And then we tried to sell the supplement, but the margins aren't that good in the supplement because it's just a very good supplement and it costs a lot of money to make it. And so then we decided that the serum was going to be it. So we've been focusing a lot of our efforts on serum because the margins are better. Yeah. It's still I believe it's the best serum out there, but the margins are way better. And that's what Facebook needs right now, is good margins for things to work. And we've also done rebranding, meaning like repackaging, and it's a much more beautiful bottle than before. And so that is also helping us lift the subscription rates overall.
So before we hit record, we talked a little bit about the business, and you're in year number 2, and year number 1 seems to be the time of making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. Yeah. If you had that magic wand and you could go back 2 years, what are some of the things that you did that you should have not done?
Yeah.
Or things that you did do right that you're glad you did do?
Man, what an excellent question, Eric. So What I would have done when I started is the mistake that I made. Maybe it was something inside of me that told me I wasn't good enough, some traumas, some self-limiting beliefs or whatnot. I avoided the cash cow in direct to consumer, which is Facebook, right? And I said, well, I'm not good enough. I don't know Facebook. I'm not creative. I'm not the creative type. I'm just going to need to hire somebody. And I worked with somebody that honestly wasn't that good. And we spent over a year together. And I didn't have results to show for it. We had CPAs of over $200. So we were negative. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know any better. And then I went to Affiliate Summit West in Vegas and I met all these people that are like crushing, 10 grand a day. I'm like, wow, I need to do that. How are you doing it? Well, here's how I'm doing. Okay. So that led me to change what I was doing and then hire multiple agencies after. So I kept making the mistake. And until I really, really got into Facebook myself, until I said, I'm going to own it. In fact, I'm going to edit some of my ads too. Not all, but some, just to get a sense for how many seconds before you change it, how many hooks do you need, hook after hook, or where are people falling off? And so you can't know that being the armchair expert. You've got to get in the weeds. And I'm sure you know this. So the biggest mistake that I made in my business was not focusing on the cash cow channel, which is Facebook. And it was easier 2 years ago. I would have, we would be further along than we are. But that's one. The other one, I would say, even though email is not so important when you're starting off and you have a small list, but I was just horrible at email, man. Mm-hmm. And I said, I met some mentors that told me, you don't want to do images in your emails. You want to do a lot of text. And so we were writing text emails, like fugly text emails. And we were doing okay, but it wasn't anywhere 25%. It wasn't giving us between 25 and 40%, which a lot of people say should be the goal for email of percentage of revenues. And so email was done poorly and Facebook ads were done poorly. And then the third mistake that I made was I went from thing to thing because I was you get marketed to by agencies and whatever they do is the thing that you should be doing. They sell you on it, like SEO. You should focus on SEO versus affiliates. We got you. Or let's do Google ads or whatnot. And so as a founder, you have to be very careful about preserving all of your energy and keeping your focus to one or two things that you can master and that the adage that they talk about in marketing is focus on one channel until X number is so true.
Yeah. I'm going to just really echo that for anyone who's listening, who's relatively new to the space. There are so many different ways to build a business, so many different channels that it is very easy to go to a trade show and say, oh, this person's killing it in SEO and this person's killing it in organic content. This person's killing it in Facebook. But really what you need to do is break down why they're killing it and what is it about that platform that allows them to be successful. So, for instance, if you're killing it on SEO, you're probably pretty good at generating links. And how do you generate links? That's going to be through PR or through product seeding or through, being on various forums and kind of spreading the word that way. If you're good at video content, then of course, YouTube, organic content is going to be a way. But also marketing is going to be a good channel, like Facebook marketing, meta marketing. And what I would encourage you to do is what do you ultimately enjoy doing the best? Do you enjoy writing? If you enjoy writing, then maybe blogging is the way that you have to do it. And you have to figure out, is there opportunity in that channel for me? And if there's not opportunity, then maybe you have to figure out a different product that will fit that channel. Because the reality is you're going to burn out because it is hard. So if you don't have a little bit of spark to be able to learn it and to be able to figure out, then you end up doing what you did, which was you pay all these experts to do it. And you don't really know if they're doing a good job or not because you yourself don't know.
Right.
So it can be a very expensive lesson and ultimately probably a reason why a lot of businesses never get off the ground. So yes, Facebook is a humongous platform that can build pretty much any business. But if you hate doing ad buying and you prefer writing, you've got to do blogging or content marketing. So understand what your strengths are so that you can, lean into that as well.
100%.
Going back to Facebook as well, it can seem overwhelming when you know nothing about it, but learning Facebook is like learning to run a business, like learning how to ride a bike, like learning anything. There's going to be the painful startup. There's also a lot of different philosophies and theories into how to run your accounts. And what I would recommend is like, just pick one that you feel works. Andrew Foxwell has a course. Andrew Ferris, who's also, I think it's Andrew Foxwell, but Foxwell Digital. Andrew Ferris, who I've had on my show a couple times, he has a course and a program, and it's just like buy into their belief structure and then just like follow their blueprint. Like you don't need to recreate the wheel with Facebook. So many people have found success with it, and then just follow their program, learn it, and then own it. I think there's, a lot of challenge in the early days of, wanting to be perceived as a larger company than you are. Do you feel like that is something that you face?
100%. Because we have some big guns in this space, right? There's two very big companies, and there's a new one popping up every time you turn around. And so, they have figured out their message to market. And so they're just sharing that. And in the beginning, I didn't know better. I thought, man, what boring copy, like it's so boring. It's so bland. I want it to be exciting. I want to be emotional. And so you try to figure out who you are, but as a reaction to what they're doing is not the right approach, right? You got to figure out who you are in your DNA and your ethos and what you truly stand for as a USP. And so in the beginning, early days, I was like, no, I'm not them. Therefore, I'm going to go the other way. But that's not really right. I've got to figure out who we really are. Like, what are our differentiators from them? And so over time, we've massaged their messaging and we've gotten it closer and closer. And now I think because of the challenges recently in Facebook with the algorithm, we've had to double down even more to understand who are we truly and what message do we have to have at every touch point with the customer. So now we're becoming more of like a brand, but having that message while still running very direct response kind of advertising.
Yeah, I think like my unsolicited advice is like, especially for a lot of entrepreneurs, I was guilty of this as well, is like, you have these insecurities that you're a smaller company, a one-man shop, and, you want to come off as bigger than you are. But the reality is if you're not a big company and there are customers who prefer to buy, the mom and pop online retailer. So use that as your advantage because the $100 million companies can never do that. Like they're never going to, the customers are never going to be able to email the founder and get a response from them. And, so like as much as you can, like if you want to put yourself out there and build those relationships with your intended audience and be like, hey, like I'm a one-man team and this is my passion. When you buy from Fully Vital, then you're buying from me and you're supporting me and the things that I believe in and the way that, I want to help the world and I want to help our customers and I want to help you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of that. Like it's okay, and maybe, yes, there's not 100 million people that want to buy from that type of company, but there are the ones that do and they will support it. And that's what will help you get to that next stage. So,
I love that. And that's so on brand for you, Eric, because every time I've met you, we've hung out a few times at events and whatnot. You come across to me as a super authentic guy, right? You're like, I'm just going to tell you exactly how it is. In a lot of meetings we go to, meetups, there's people that are fronting. They're like, oh yeah, I'm crushing. You look around the room and out of 10 people that are struggling, 8 will say they're crushing. Yeah. And 2 will be honest with you. And so I've always seen you as a guy that's like very authentic, very on brand, even though you've been doing it for 11, 14 years?
On year number 12, yeah.
Year number 12. So I hats off to you, man. You really walk the walk, or walk the talk. And yeah, so you're very authentic. And for a new person, like you said, it's a little bit unnerving because you're like, well, I'm going to get rejected because I'm not big or I'm small. And so I shouldn't say that message, but it's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's totally
You're
fine.
going to get rejected no matter what. So you might as well just get rejected for being yourself rather than get rejected for being some fake version of the worst thing that could happen is like you have a customer who thinks that you're a big shot and they don't buy from you because they want to support the one-man shop. Like think about that.
Right.
Like you can't appeal to everyone no matter what. Like,
and I'll say this, it's every time I've gone on a podcast, so we've done podcast tours, I'm a podcaster myself with longevity, and so I've got friends in the space that are gracious enough to have me on their shows. And every time I do a podcast, my messaging has gotten better. And we talk about the science, and you listen to me for 30 minutes of how we came up with this and why we're going after so many pathways. Man, we get a really good response from that. And so part of the challenge has been for me is how to translate some of that authenticity and like the message that we share into direct response and into short form, like Facebook ad that people are only going to watch for 7 seconds before they bounce, right? And into our landing pages. So that's been a challenge that we've been working on. But the field that we're in, it requires education, because a lot of women particularly have tried so many things. Because again, like there's a company that's selling 15 products and there's a hair supplement too, right? Are they hair experts? I don't know, but they're selling a lot of other things. And so as much as possible, we have to be very, very authentic in terms of, how are we doing things? Why are we different? And that message is now starting to be used across the other platforms. But podcasting has been very, very successful for us as much as the audience allows.
Yeah. Now, it's not easy starting up a business. I kind of want to talk about like, how do you address the dark days? Like, how do you persevere? How do you continue to, put the pants on and fight the fight?
Man, there have been more dark days than I care to admit. And last year, I used to wake up in sweats and hyperventilate because I thought I was going to lose it all. And over time, I've built some daily practices that have really helped me. What used to like throw me off my kilter like a crazy person last year doesn't faze me anymore. It's almost like I have a mood that's calm for the most part. 99% of my day is calm, regardless of what happens. Mm-hmm. A manufacturer fires us, calm, right? I didn't think I could have this kind of strength in me to be so calm. And this just comes from experience. And so what have I done? I've done a lot of things. I've gone to a couple of therapists with therapies that I am in favor of, such as EMDR. That's one that Dr. Andrew Huberman's talked about on his show.
Yeah, I don't know what that stands for. EMDR?
Yeah, it's called Eye Movement Rapid Deprocessing. EMDR. Eye Movement Deprocessing and Resensitization.
Okay.
Something like that. But what you do is you basically move your eyes left to right.
Okay.
As you're looking at a moving ball or something. Okay. And what this does is in the amygdala, the brain, the part of your brainstem that stores these memories where you had trauma, capital T or small t, it helps you like go to that trauma and you think about the event. So you're going back to that trauma. But as you're moving your eyes left and right, it's like you're moving through it. So as you walk through a path in the jungle in the old days, you're moving through the path. And so it clears out the trauma. And your eyes are busy with processing something on the screen. So it kind of almost fills in and removes the trauma from
Is there like a doctor there like bringing up the trauma or?
Yeah, so before you start, you actually go over the trauma and you determine on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is it? Is it a 7? Is it a 10? And then the goal is in just one session, you can bring a 9 down to a 3.
Okay.
So it's very significant in how powerful it is. It works very well for specific traumas, like one-time incident traumas, as opposed to a prolonged exposure.
You got in a car wreck.
Yeah, totally. So I've done that, and then these days I meditate, twice a day.
Okay.
And so that's been very helpful as well, because you get to know your thoughts. And then I write down my thoughts every day as well. And so it really, like, instead of them running through your mind all day, now it's down on paper. So there's a sense of ease that comes with journaling. And meditation as well. So all of those I would highly recommend. It's been too long that I suffered, with the growing pains of a business, but I feel like I'm more calmer than ever.
So you talked about like how you described that. You talked about, potentially losing the business. Have you ever felt like giving up on the business?
Man, I'm not a quitter. So I will say this, like deep inside me, I know I'll never, ever, ever give up.
Okay.
Like you have to like beat me down and like chop my head off for me to give up. But I'll be lying if I would say that there weren't painful days, extremely painful days where you felt like, why is this happening to me?
Why do you have that? Where do you think you get that mindset to never, ever give up?
I don't know. That's a really
was that
question.
Always in you or is it something newer?
I had a sense, even when I was young, like I'm going back to 14, 13, 14, I knew there was something in me that was special. I didn't know what it was. And I was a soccer athlete growing up. So, in high school, I got a lot of attention. So maybe that was part of it in the formative years. But I knew that there was a purpose for me. There was something great in me that I got to figure it out. And then when I was living in Los Angeles, working for a big company, making decent money, driving a nice car, living in the hills, living the LA life, I was completely not happy with it. There was dark areas of my heart. I'm like, what am I doing here? I need to find a way out. So a lot of my life, I've been yearning for something bigger.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what it was or what to do. And so I waited long enough and the pressure built up behind the dam. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something. And I will say that it was 100 times harder than I ever thought it was going to be. But we're still here. We're still standing. We're still fighting. And I'm just going to keep going until I can't.
Oh, yeah. You're going to go bankrupt?
Yeah, if I have to.
Is that the option?
I mean, that's the serious question that entrepreneurs have to ask themselves is how much are you willing to lose? Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So I've got a home that I own in Denver that I bought, thankfully, that has appreciated a bit. And multiple times I've thought about it. If it comes to it, my bank account literally goes to zero, I'm going to sell that home to get some equity to re-put back into the business. Right now, as we're sitting here, there's a crypto boom going on.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, no, I don't care. Everything I got is going into this business.
Yeah.
That's the mindset for me.
What is, what keeps you going with this particular business? Do you have any customer stories that, have changed your life, or what is the draw to this particular one that you're so attached to?
Yeah. Maybe part of the attachment comes from a fear of failure.
Yeah.
Meaning
because I want to interject, you're selling a women's product as a male founder. So it's obviously you're not your target audience.
Yeah.
So
totally. And that's a good observation. So I actually use my products every single day.
Okay.
They work good for men. They just don't work that powerfully because they're not pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. So if you're a man in your 20s, I probably wouldn't give you all of my products and tell you this is going to stop it, right?
Yeah.
I would recommend a mix of products. So I would give you maybe all of mine, but also add some pharmaceuticals into the mix to make sure we protect what you have. Because early male hair loss is very aggressive, right?
Yeah.
But as you get older, past 30, 35 for males, this can work quite well. For women, their causes for hair loss are multifactorial. So it's really well suited because we're going after so many pathways, so many reasons, so many causes. For men, primarily, it's one reason for hair loss, primarily.
Yeah.
And so that's why women just seem to be a better market for us. Plus, I made the decision early on. Am I going to speak to two audiences or one?
Right.
Got to speak to one because we have limited marketing dollars, right? And if I'm going to speak to one, who can I help more with that one? And so that was the decision we made early on to say, let's just put all of our attention, all of our focus on women because that's just the language we can speak and we can help them more. Yeah. And yes, I've gotten dozens of stories of people that say, yes, I love it. I can't stop. I'm going to recommend it to people that I love. We get testimonials and photos.
And I'm not an expert on women's hair loss. I'm a little bit in the industry, but obviously, or not obviously, but after pregnancy, there's a shedding period. Are you targeting that? Or is it if women are in a high stress environment, they experience thinning and it's kind of to target that? Or is it just more broad as all of women's, challenges in life?
Love it. So what we do, the website, of course, has to speak to everybody, all women. Mm-hmm. And so that's very generic. And meaning we talk about the different pathways we go after, but we can't go deep into anyone very much. On what we're doing now with Facebook advertising and with angles, we're using different angles. So I'll tie this back in a second. What we go after, there's major reasons for hair thinning. One of them is stress, as you mentioned. The other one is anytime you have a big stressor in your life, be that psychological or physical, surgery or a breakup, divorce, right? Or you get into a big accident. When you have a big shock, or COVID even, big shock, that leads to your body to say, oh my God, we're dying. It pulls all the resources away from hair, which is very expendable, towards your core organs. So you have a massive shed 3 months after a pregnancy or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that's another reason. Hormones are a big reason. And so we're saying, okay, these are all the pathways we're going after to help address hair thinning. Now, from a marketing standpoint, how can we target stress as an angle that we go pretty deep into on the landing page? So we have these constellations, like the core website talks about all the generic reasons,
Right.
but then we go into like angles with the ad and the landing page. So we talk more deeper about stress, or we talk about, we don't target like women that have had kids recently. We can. That's a thing that's something we're going to focus on this year. But for example, stress is one, hormones is one, menopause is one, aging is one, PCOS, which is a condition that women get, is one. So that's the way we're going after the market.
Okay. Are you finding that any of those particular channels or speaking points is hitting better than others?
Dude, I was surprised. Stress is hitting pretty hard.
Yeah.
And that's what you nailed in what you said as well. Everybody's stressed. And what happens with the hair is that women, there's two things that happen for women. After the age of 35, 40, hormones start changing. So they're very well aware of that. So that's an angle that we talk about in our website and all of our correspondence as well. But stress has been a surprising one that we found there's a lot of people interested in it. And we've had some of our best landing pages and results with that angle.
Yeah. And I would not imagine there's any opportunity targeting men to buy for their wife. That would be if you're a dude listening to this podcast, I can't imagine that's going to go over well.
Right.
If you come home with this product.
And I think of the fact that women control 80% of the spend.
Yeah.
They're buying for their parents, they're buying for their kids, they're also buying for their husbands. And so we haven't gone after men as a channel to sell it for women. Yeah.
I would imagine that would be a very awkward conversation if I came home and be like, "Hey, honey, I bought some."
I noticed.
Yeah, I noticed. That's not going to go over well. So probably not a channel opportunity for there. You're sticking with Facebook. How long do you give it? How long have you given it your full attention and focus?
So, excellent question again. So we went through all the things you shouldn't do, right? We've done SEO, and we still continue to do much reduced version of SEO right now just to maintain what we have. We did affiliates. We tried TikTok. When Paul.
Yeah, Paul. I did the same thing too. I had 2 sales and a lot of headaches.
Yeah, we've had about 100 sales, but
wow.
Yeah, that's nothing to write home to. But what I did, Eric, is I said, you know what? I'm doing well on podcasts. I can talk to women. I've got a unique message. I can be the spokesperson because I actually have hair for my products. And so we started TikTok, and I was posting every single day for about 80 days. And for the first 30, nothing, like 200 reviews. That's the dead zone on TikTok. When you get 200 views, you're not doing anything good, right? So for the first 30 videos, nothing. For the first 60 videos, nothing. 66th video gets 3.2 million views.
Oh, wow.
Right? Led to like 10 sales. I'm like, fuck. I should have been talking about the product more because like there's so much to talk about with hair. I can't just be like, but buy this at the end, right? So it's more generic. We were talking about rosemary oil. And so I've had multiple hits where I got to 500,000 or more, multiple videos. And then I said, you know what? It's not moving the needle like Facebook would. So we pulled back, and now I've been spending all of my time on Facebook.
And when was it? How long ago was this?
Since February.
Oh, so it's just like about a month, 2 months?
Yeah,
You're 2 months in.
Yeah, 2 months. I've had a really cool creative strategist that was helping me since fall of last year, let's say. She scaled multiple accounts. And she kept saying this to me, if you do Facebook with me, we'll do great. And I said, but I hired you. What do you mean? You're doing it, so do it. And man, what a difference it's made for me to be just involved so intricately into what we're doing with Facebook.
Yeah.
The quality of our creatives is like way better than it's ever been. Landing pages are way more tighter, and we're seeing better results.
Yeah. So the lesson learned, you got to do the hard work.
You got to do the hard. And the other thing I mean,
everything's always hard, but
it's always hard. But if you choose a channel that you think is going to be instrumental for your business,
you have to do it.
You better be in it.
Yeah.
You better be in it. You can't outsource this. I mean, if you hate it to the point you made earlier, I just don't like Facebook at all, fine. Then maybe you have a chance because you got to keep the spark alive. But man, you better be involved.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Like, I don't think you can outsource growth.
Yeah.
That's a core component of any business. So whatever that growth channel is for you guys, you have to figure out and do that in-house.
And the other thing I'll say, Eric, is that also personality types matter. I am a salesperson. I am not an operations guy. I would hate the prospect of sitting there with a spreadsheet and doing a financial modeling for the next 12 months. It would drive me batshit crazy. Can I do it? Yeah, of course. But it's not my strength. I don't want to sit there and look at a spreadsheet for 2 hours. So I also recognize my personality is going to be talking, is going to be selling, is going to be educating.
Yeah.
And so Facebook is the channel we've chosen, and that's where I'm spending a lot of my time. And yes, I was afraid of it because I didn't think I was good enough.
Yeah.
But now I'm just choosing to embrace it.
You just got to do it.
You just got to do it.
Where can people follow you, buy your products?
Totally, yeah. So fullyvital.com. That's the website. If you have a woman that you love in your life who wouldn't be offended for you to buy her buy products for her, then check it out. And also, if you're
a woman listening,
that could
listening. Happen.
Totally, and you're stressed in direct to consumer.
Yeah.
Then check
Facebook's gotten really expensive.
It has.
You're losing your hair
for most, and so check that out. And also for the men listening, if you are starting to see signs of gray and you're early on in the gray journey, it's really, I've seen a 30 to 40% reduction in my grays. And I'm super pleased because it makes me look younger.
Yeah.
And so that's when you can go try it out. Also, all of our products come with a 120-day money-back guarantee because we recognize hair growth takes time. It takes about 3 months. And so that's why we offer a 4-month money-back guarantee just to make sure to take care of you.
And then you're on Twitter too, or X, right?
I'm on X. I'm mostly lurking and following and commenting on Eric's posts and liking his tweets and checking out his transformation of cutting his hair. But that's the extent. But if you want to look me up on Twitter, it's Faraz Kahn 1000. Also, I'm on Instagram at Anti-Aging Hacks.
There you go. All right, man. This has been another e-commerce conversations. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Cheers.
Thank you, Eric.
And keep on growing.